Who's this singing this? This is Luther. Yeah, Luther Vandross.
Yes, sir.
Oh, man.
There you are.
I got to watch I didn't come in, and while I was busy getting ready, I didn't watch did we see the Tremont Mark jumper to beat North NC State?
I think there was some rumblings that Longhorn fans were like, they felt underrepresented. But
man.
I'm sure every team.
We had the Cam Heide 3 to beat Gonzaga, essentially, the dagger. Because Sean Miller's team did go to the Final Four. Or, excuse me, the Elite to the Sweet 16.
That was a shining moment.
But Dusty May, remember, Michigan, 8 wins. The year before he got there, Juwan Howard, 8 wins. Not a good program.
Coaches.
Yeah, not a good program. Hadn't won in 35 years. And Dusty May comes in from Florida Atlantic, a son of Indianapolis. Grew up in Indianapolis, and where they played the Final Four in the championship game last night, and they win the Natty. So again, it is out there, and Sean Miller blueprint, come in, take over a program, Sweet 16 year one, show progress. Now it's about roster building, and that is the story of last night's game in our opening tip here on Game Time 102.7 ESPN. Pretty clearly, this was a good basketball game. The number one seed and favored Michigan Wolverines took down UConn 69-63. Their second all-time national title, as we said, their first since 1989. Dusty Mays, it's just an extremely well-constructed roster. They controlled the game with their – it wasn't an offensive game by any stretch. Both teams tried to muck it up. But the elite length and physical defense, clutch free throw shooting. Michigan shot 13 more free throws than the Huskies did, Jack. 25 of 28. They forced 12 turnovers. They blocked 6 shots. They just they're good in all phases. And their dynamic point guard, Elliot Cadeau, was the most outstanding player. He's the one kid of that transfer class, a 5-star. He was a 5-star that kind of got lost at North Carolina. Was discouraged with his game, and he came out and went to Michigan, found a home, and he's been tremendous. He was elite with his performance against Arizona, with the passing and the setups, and he had 19 points last night to lead all scorers. The Illinois transfer, Merez Johnson, added a double-double with 12 and 10. And the Big Ten Player of the Year, Yaxel Lendenborg, hobbled, but was out there and scored 13 points. But we mentioned it, Trey McKenna, the freshman from Flint, Michigan, only scored 9 points, but he hit far and away the biggest shot of the night, Jack. Let's hear this. This was what we were talking about. It was Michigan took the lead right before the half, and then they felt like they took control in the second half, but UConn fought their way back. They've been in that championship game 3 times in 4 years. But McKenna with the biggest shot, because we said UConn, approaching the 2-minute mark of the second half in the ball game, had a chance on a fast break to get it under 6, and maybe they hit a 2 and get fouled, which get it down to 3, hit a 3, get it to 3, at least get it to 4. Neither happened, and Michigan corralled the rebound and took it back up the floor, got into a secondary break, and again, a true freshman from Flint, Michigan became the hero, hit the shot that really iced it.
And now Michigan pushing the other way. Numbers here. Cadeau, the bounce. Johnson through his legs, saves it for Gale. Off the drive, McKinney sets the feet, fires, connects! A big one for McKinney!
Broken play, but what a find! Wow, McKinney.
And Michigan went crazy there and at the Chrysler Arena back in Ann Arbor, where they had a full house. And Michigan, your national champs, that got them back up 9, and that was about a free throw fest. And yeah, Michigan made 25 of 28 free throws. The only first, they had missed 1 free throw all night, then the kid missed 2. The kid missed 2, and that kind of kept it a game right before that fast break scenario. And you're like, oh man, that might be the first 2 that they cost them. Amazing Blue ended up winning by 6, and that was the only question. Once he hit that 3, Jack, was would they cover? Because if you had the line 6.5, it was going to be teetering on that line. They get it by 6. I don't know how Vegas knows.
There was some UConn magic in there late. They banked in 3 by solo ball, and then they cut it to 4. Michigan turned it over, and you're like, hey, are we going to have a repeat of this Duke thing? But now UConn couldn't hit the shots they needed to. Nobody was hitting shots on that end of the floor all night.
Yeah, here's Dusty May afterwards. Again, Indianapolis native, went to Indiana.
Well, thanks a lot. And Dusty, congratulations. You said from the start, this team had what it takes to get to a national championship. What did they show you in this one with this gritty performance?
Well, if you had told me we would shoot it this poorly, get dominated on the glass, and still find a way to win, I don't know if I would have believed you. But this team's just found a way all season.
How did they find a way? What is it about this team?
I love, respect, and trust amongst themselves.
So then they gathered, and Tracy Wolfson, by the way, she's a Michigan grad, so she's pretty excited, I'm sure. standing there talking. That's the first in almost 40 years for them. The confetti falling, and they get the win. Major props to Dan Hurley and UConn. As you mentioned, Jack, they had the unbelievable comeback from 19 down to beat Duke on the game winner, and then took down Illinois in that defensive performance against the country's best offense on Saturday night. And Dan Hurley's team, they were there. They were a worthy foe. An underdog got 17 from the pretty incredible Alex Caravan. How about him, Jack? He leaves his college career with 2 national championships and a runner-up, and he was really good last night. But again, that swarming defense of Michigan and a very sportsman-like Dan Hurley after the game, giving all credit to the better side.
Coach, you guys mucked it up. You played it on your terms. It just was not enough. What was the difference down the stretch there?
I just thought the 2 fouls on those 3 guys in the first half. I thought we had a real good chance to go into the half with the lead, but having Silas Harris and Solo Ball with those 2 fouls, just really put us down at the half, and then and we just had to make more shots. We had great opportunities. I thought from 3, if we make 3 or 4 more, we've got a great chance to win it. But I mean, how are you disappointed at all in your group? These guys had 22 offensive rebounds versus that group of monsters out there. So proud of the guys.
All right, proud of the guys. Worthy year. And it's funny, Jack, that's the first time UConn's ever lost in a national championship. They've been in 6 national title games on the men's side, won all 6 until last night. So how about that? That's a pretty good season, right? For a program, any program, that would be a great year to get, win the Big East, get all the way to the final game and play that well, despite the foul trouble that he mentioned. But that's your 7th best season in your program? 7th and best, because you go 0 for 6. You go 6-0 in the championships, whether it was Jim Calhoun or Kevin Ollie or Dan Hurley, you kind of expect to win. So that's their 7th best year in program history.
Yeah, it's a good team.
That's a good program.
That's our new blood.
Yeah, that is the new blood.
I mean, I truly believe you have to mention UConn up there with Kansas and UNC and Kentucky and all those schools.
Well,
they have the hardware.
They have self-anointed them, Storrs, Connecticut, the basketball capital of the world. And with Gino Ariema and his ridiculousness and all their championships, and then it's hard to argue.
It's Titletown, man.
It's Titletown. And
New Englanders have it so easy.
Yeah, you're jealous
of course.
Because of the Boston.
I wish all of my teams were awesome forever.
Yeah, they did have to deal with that curse of the Bambino for about 100 years, but
people my age didn't.
Right, exactly. I mean, yes, older folks out of Beantown are like, wait a second, Jack Farrell, bite your tongue. But yes, they've been pretty good with the Patriots, the Celtics,
a baby,
the Red Sox.
Super Bowls.
You're right about that. The Bruins even pretty good. But that's even the Big Ten's first national title as a conference since Michigan State and Tom Izzo in 2000. 1989, the last time Michigan. So we're into the offseason. Did you realize nearly 50 jobs opened this offseason in head coaching jobs? That's a new record. 44 have already been filled. Everybody looking for their next, Dusty May, just like Texas was at this time last year, hiring Sean Miller. The lone remaining elite major opening was North Carolina. And they have hired Mike Malone. From the world of the NBA. Mike Malone, as its next head basketball coach, he comes in, led the Denver Nuggets to a championship, got crossed with the front office, it felt like, thereafter. They won the championship with Nikola Jokic. He's seen as a really smart and sharp tactician of basketball. What's your overall read on Mike Malone when this came down yesterday, Jack? You follow the NBA as close as anybody I know.
I mean, I was pretty shocked. In
a good way or a not a good way?
In a big-time wait-and-see kind of way. I think Mike Malone's a good coach. I think that, Denver basically being as good, if not maybe a little better without him is, I don't know. And then going
he was good enough to win a championship.
He was, with the best player in the world, and against an 8-seed Miami Heat team who was at the end of a great run.
I would say how many NBA coaches have won a championship without the best player in the world, or one of the best players in the world.
That's true.
You don't win that without having 1 or 2 of the best players in the world, maybe 3. And yes, but so again, I don't know.
It just ended badly there, and then going from college, the NBA to college is interesting. But I'm not saying it's not going to work. I think Mike Malone's a fine basketball coach.
That's really what you need
out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they say it wasn't. They talked to him early, and then they were waiting on Tommy Lloyd. They're waiting on Dusty May, waiting on some other coach. Nate Oates apparently got an offer from Alabama. They all got raises, and then they turned back to Mike Malone. Mike Malone was endorsed apparently by some of the brass there. Let's hear from Pete Thamel. Pete Thamel broke this down, always covering college athletics at a high level from ESPN. He has the backstory of how Mike Malone ended up at Big Blue there, or Big Blue's Michigan, but at Carolina Blue.
It came together fairly quickly. There was some initial interest in Mike Malone when the search started. Carolina elected to look elsewhere for a little bit. They circled back to him in the last few days, and Malone accepted the job in the past few hours. Michael Malone is one of the best coaches of basketball in the world. He's obviously been an analyst for us recently, won an NBA championship with the Denver Nuggets. His respect as a tactician, I think, is really important here. Michael Jordan, Roy Williams, the Carolina brass, the gold standard of Carolina, really endorsed Michael Malone as the school's next head coach.
All right. So there, and I probably would have been Billy Donovan, but by all accounts in the Windy City, Billy Donovan wasn't. There's only 2 weeks left in the regular season in the NBA. He wanted to wait and coach it out, finish the deal, and you can understand at some level. Some will say North Carolina's AD panicked, but he's like, no, this 2 week window is pretty important. This is the portal. We wanted to have a coach in place. Tommy Lloyd said no. Dusty May, Nate Oates all said no. We need a coach in place right now. We can't wait 2 weeks because you can be way behind.
Yeah, and Michael Malone was one of the angrier coaches in the NBA, and I think that honestly works better at the college level. They settle on Michael Malone. The NBA season ends in 5 days.
Oh, 5 days,
sorry. The Chicago Bulls just cleaned house. So I think, I would say that they picked Michael Malone over Billy Donovan because Billy was going to be available. They just fired the whole front office.
Well, maybe that's and here's what you can say about Mike Malone, since you heard Pete Thamel say he was in the process from the beginning.
Yeah.
If he knew that, he could be evaluating portal players and talking to, if the idea was, you're our guy. He has a daughter that played volleyball at North Carolina, so he's been around that program. He obviously has the respect of, we heard Michael Jordan's name in there. That's interesting. So we'll see. Yeah, wait and see. Well, we know college sports is more transactional than ever before. It's more like the pros, where you're, looking to build a roster every offseason and make moves and chemistry and all that comes with it. But still, at the end of the day, it's basketball. Dusty May just showed you that at a very high level. Dan Hurley shows you on an annual basis. And, does, the 2-year jump for Indiana football and now Michigan basketball, Jack, from an 8-win program to a championship, does that give you confidence as a Longhorn fan that Sean Miller, is after what he did, Sweet 16, might be on a good track here? We got to get the right players in place, and that's about roster build.
Yeah, I think he's a fine tournament coach. I think we know that.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the roster is yet. I think Sean Miller is the right guy. Can Texas win a title in year 2? I'll let you know in May.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's about. We talk about now in football, it's that 2 weeks in January, the roster build. And, Longhorn football fans are excited as they've been in a long time. Sark thinks he's got his most talented roster. But they may have added, in that window from January 2 to January 18th or 16th, whenever that thing closed, Texas has added 6-7 starters through the portal. Starters on a very young team that finished 10-3 last year. Added 6-7 starters to the roster. Now, they're losing some guys to the pros, that's obvious, but not a huge haul that it's off to the NFL. So that's good work, and that's what you hope, that the young guys, meet the older, the incoming and replace the talent, and that's what we see in football. Jim Schlossnagle, I think, did a brilliant job of it in baseball with this roster. Adding a top freshman recruiting class, top ranked recruiting class that you're already seeing dividends with guys like Sam Cozart and Anthony Pack on the baseball side of things to go with Aiden Robbins, Carson Tinney. These additions through the transfer portal to join. Jack, you bring in the freshman class to go with the portal class to go with the guys who are already there, like Dylan Volantis and Luke Harrison and Ruger Riojas. Well, now you got a team that's number 2 in the country and as good as anybody. That's the model. That's the model in college sports right now. Right. I said pro, but it is pro. That's where we're at.